Hello, church. Thank you for joining me today. If you've ever doubted your life with God and how you fit in with His plan, consider this. God has been molding and shaping you for ministry since before you were born. Psalms 139, 13 through 16. You made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit them together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. It is amazing to think about. Your workmanship is marvelous, and how well I know it. You were there while I was being formed in the utter seclusion. You saw me before I was born and scheduled each day of my life before I began to breathe. God shaped you for a purpose. You are unique, and you are wonderfully complex. This is our next step. Discovering how God has uniquely made you to be you. You know, you are a composite of many different factors, and it can be summarized in the acrostic SHAPE, S-H-A-P-E. So let's look at each one of these letters and what they mean. So S is for spiritual gifts. The Bible teaches that God gives every believer spiritual gifts to be used in ministry. You could check that out in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, Romans chapter 8, Ephesians chapter 4, and elsewhere. Spiritual gifts are only one part of the picture, though. The spiritual gifts are often overemphasized to the neglect of all equally important factors. There's natural ability that you were born with. That also came from God. So does your experiences and personality traits. Your Creator planned these factors as well. 1 Peter 4:10 says, just as each one has received a gift, use it to serve others as good stewards of the varied grace of God. It's clear that not just some of us, but every single one of us has received a gift. And so what is the purpose of having a gift? Is it so we could pat ourselves on the back and it's like, look what gift I have? Is that no. Look again at 1 Peter 4:10. Use it to serve others. You are not the intended recipient of that gift. The people in your life are. Your gift is a tool God will use to serve others, to build them up and help them find their place in His kingdom, in the family of God. Paul's heart for the Corinthians in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1, is God's heart for you and me today. Now, considering spiritual gifts, brothers, I do not want you to be uninformed. God's desire for us is that we would be informed directly from Him about the incredible gifts this loving Holy Spirit who dwells in us has bestowed on us. How do you know what your spiritual gift is? Now, most of the time, we get the process backwards when we're trying to discover our gifts. We're told something like, well, discover your spiritual gifts, and then you will know what ministry you're supposed to have. In reality, we should be doing the exact opposite. We should start experimenting with different ministries, and then you'll discover your gifts. There's a principle there. Until you actually get involved in serving, you're not going to know what you're good at. H is for heart passions. The Bible uses the term heart to represent the center of your emotions, your motivations, desires, interests, inclinations. Your heart determines why you say the things you do. Luke 6:45. Good comes from a good man because of the riches he has in his heart. Sin comes from a sinful man because of the sin he has in his heart. The mouth speaks of what the heart is full of. The heart is also why you feel the way you do. Proverbs 27:19. As water acts as a mirror to a face, so the heart of a man acts as a mirror to a man. And why you act the way you do. Proverbs 4:23. Keep your heart pure, for out of it are the important things of life. Do you know that each of us has a unique heartbeat, just like a fingerprint or a retina? Each person has a slightly different pattern. God has given each of us a unique emotional heartbeat that races when we encounter activities, subjects, or circumstances that interest us. And we all know that. It's like, oh, I want to do that. Another word for heart is passion. There are certain subjects that you feel passionate about. And then there's others, it's like, nah, I could care less about that, right? And that's all good. I don't have to have that same passion that you have. God had a purpose in giving you your interests. Your emotional heartbeat reveals a very important key to understanding His intentions for your life. Don't ignore your natural interests. People rarely excel at tasks they don't enjoy doing. And studies show, and it's been proven, high achievers enjoy what they do. A is for abilities. These are the natural talents that you and I were born with. Some people have a natural ability with words. It seems the moment they were born, they started to talk. Others are naturally good with numbers. And they think mathematically, they think in numbers. And then they can't understand why you don't understand calculus. Exodus 31:3 gives an example of how God gives people skills, ability, and knowledge in all kinds of crafts. Now, in order to accomplish His purpose, of course. In this case, it was artistic ability to be used in building the tabernacle. It's interesting to me that musical talent is not listed as a spiritual gift, but it certainly is a natural ability that God uses in worship. Now, one of the most common excuses people give for not getting involved, they just say, I just don't have any abilities to offer. Now, nothing could be further from the truth. Many national studies have proven that the average person, you and me, we possess from 500 to 700 skills. So the real problem is twofold. First, people need some process of skill identification. You're really good at that. You're really good at that. You could use that in the church. Second, they need a process to help them match their ability with the right ministry. You know, we're hiring, we need somebody interviewing, right? We need some art. So boom. There are people in our church with all kinds of abilities that are not being put to use. Recruiting, writing, landscaping, interviewing, promoting, decorating, planning and planting, entertaining, repairing, drawing, and even feeding. And I like that one. When God gives you a talent, He expects you to use it. It's like a muscle. If you use it, it will grow. If you don't, you'll lose it. If you have a talent but are afraid to use it, or if you get lazy and don't use it for the benefit of others, you're going to lose it. Just like the parable of the 10 talents in Luke 19. If you don't use what God has given you, He will take it away and give it to someone else who will use it. But if you use your talents wisely, God will give you more. If you use your time wisely, God will give you more time. If you use your energy wisely, God will give you more energy. If you use your influence wisely, God will increase your influence. God will bless your level of faithfulness. And that brings us to P, and P is for personality. It's obvious that God hasn't used a cookie cutter to create people. He made introverts and extroverts. He made people who love routine and those who love variety. Some people work best when given an individual assignment, just go off and do it, while others work best with a team, and that's me. I like teams, everybody working together. There is no right or wrong temperament for ministry. We need all of the personalities to balance the church and give it flavor. The world would be a very boring place if we were all plain vanilla. Fortunately, ministry comes in more than 31 flavors. Baskin-Robbins, 31 flavors. Your personality will affect how and where you use your spiritual gifts and abilities. For instance, two people may have the same gift of evangelism, but if one is an introvert and the other is an extrovert, that gift will be expressed in totally different ways. When you minister in a manner that is consistent with the personality God gave you, you experience fulfillment, satisfaction, and fruitfulness. It feels good when you do exactly what God made you to do. And then finally, E is for experiences. God never wastes an experience in your life. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Consider 5 areas of experience that will influence the kind of ministry you are best shaped for. Remember, this is all about God shaping you and discovering your shape. There's the educational experience. What were your favorite subjects in school? What degrees do you have? There's the vocational experience. What jobs have you enjoyed and achieved good results while doing? You excelled at those. There's the spiritual experiences. What have been the meaningful or decisive times with God in your life? There's ministry experiences. How have you served God in the past? And then, yes, there's also the painful experiences. What are the problems, hurts, and trials that you've learned from, that you've gone through? God determined your shape for his purpose, so you shouldn't resent it or reject it. Romans chapter 9, verse 20 and 21. What right have you, a human being, to cross-examine God? The pot has no right to say to the potter, "Why did you make me this shape?" Surely a potter can do what he likes with the clay. Instead of trying to reshape ourselves to be like someone else, we should celebrate the shape God has given to each of us. Wise stewardship of our life begins by understanding our shape, understanding your shape. You will be the most effective and fulfilled personally and in ministry when you use your spiritual gifts and abilities in the area of your heart's desires and in the way that best expresses your personality and your experiences. Consider this: what God made you to be determines what God intends for you to do.